Hello, everybody. My name is Kimberly Cruz. I am the director for UPE Design, and this is a recording of the Fundamentals of Design workshop. So welcome for our first workshop for graphic design. This is going to be the first external workshop. If you are interested in what we do, please do stick around. So for UPE Design, our goal is to teach students design and product management skills. We're going to be touching on three programs this semester. This includes UI UX, graphic design, and product management. So the benefits if you sign up as a UPE design member is that you get to learn the basics of design and work with UI UX tools used in the industry. You can also incorporate user-friendly designs in advanced workshops. You also get an access to a community of people who are also interested in the exact same thing. And you also get to boost your resume to help you land an internship or job. We might be doing things that you can also add to your portfolio if that's what you prefer. So these are some of our current events that we're going to be having this semester. We're going to have Fundamentals of Design, which is today. There's a UI UX prototyping workshop that's going to span to 3 sections. They're all in February. And by the end of the workshop, you should be able to have a good grasp of what UI UX is and a full working prototype that you can deploy and show to anybody. So these are more of our internal events. These are reserved for our UPE design members. We're going to have a product management workshop, a design thinking workshop, and a design-a-thon, which are going to be our big main event in the end. So I encourage you to apply at go.fiu.edu/UPE programs. The deadline is January 15th, so that is a few days from now. So I encourage you to apply as soon as you can. Please do sign up for our online community on Discord. It's at discord.gg/UPEFIU. Once you join in, you have to react to the little emojis for all the programs that you're interested in, and then you will have access to the channels. These are our social media handles. We have Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and LinkedIn. Our website is upefiu.io, and our email, so you can contact us for any comments, questions, concerns, is up@fiu.edu. So what are we going to cover in this workshop? So what we will cover is what is graphic design and what tools exist for graphic design, along with design basics for beginners and a challenge at the end. So what is graphic design? So it's a way to visually communicate to your audience. So you can either inform them, inspire, or captivate consumers with physical and virtual art forms. Um, it, it goes through a range of images, words, or graphics. A graphic designer is somebody who's going to work in groups or with their client closely to make organization recognizable and prominent. So graphic design will mainly encompass a lot of jobs. So these are just a few of the many that exist for a graphic designer. You can freelance, you get to set your hours, you get to set your limits, your prices. You make your own schedule. We also have a creative director, a product designer, a brand identity developer, interface designer, web designer, multimedia developer, and content developer. So what tools exist for designers? There are a lot of tools that exist for designers out there. There are plenty, some are paid, some are free. Some just varied examples are Adobe Photoshop, Illustrator, InDesign, Sketch, GIMP, Photopea, Clip Studio Paint, Procreate, and Core iDraw. Some of these are paid, like I said, like the Adobe Creative Suite. I believe for students it's $20 for the entire Adobe Suite Creative Cloud. Sketch, I believe, is also a paid service. Clip Studio Paint is a one-time purchase of $50, I believe. It really depends. Procreate is also, for the iOS apps. It's also a paid service. Photopea and GIMP, however, are completely free. Photopea is it's a Photoshop clone, but that is free and it works on the web. So let's get into the basics. So the first basic of designs is the line. So a line is something that connects 2 points from one endpoint to another endpoint. It's going to connect two different, you could also connect 2 different dots, 2 different points, 2 different lines, 2 different shapes. You could also use it to divide content, like how we have it right here. It can be a thin, thick, wavy, jagged, even textured. Every kind will give a different kind of feel. You should also keep in mind that, in a way, all letters are a combination of lines. We have the shape, which is any 2-dimensional area with set boundaries. There are 2 types, geometric, regular, or organic. So a geometric shape is a shape that's basically has set boundaries. These are the ones that we already know: circles, parallelograms, triangles, rhombuses, octagons, hexagons, and so on. Organic shapes are more like free draws. These are shapes that don't follow a set boundary because it's a custom made, basically. So shapes are a vital sign of communication ideas for visuals. You see them everywhere. There are also icons and symbols that are also made out of basic shapes. So these are just a few examples. The play button is consisted of a circle and a triangle. You all know what a heart stands for. Stop sign is an octagon. So we have a form. So form is when a shape is turned into a 3-dimensional area. We call this a form. It's implied. You imply form in your design with light, shadows, and perspective. So different shadows will give a different feel and a different layer of depth or distance. Basic forms can bring a sense of realism into your work. So if you want something to realistically mock something that's in the real world, you can add form. So we also have texture. So it is a physical quality of the surface. It can exist in excuse me. It could exist in the real world or implied, suggesting that it could have texture if it existed in the real life, such as like paints or letters that are textured. It also adds a sense of depth and tactility to otherwise flat images. You can also use textures as your background images to give it a sense of interest to your design. These are just a few of the texture types that exist out there. You can use them as your background image, like I said. We have distress fonts, they give texture. We also have smooth, glossy icons. You know that you can see that it's glossy because it has a sense of light on the top. So what you want to keep in mind when you're designing absolutely anything is that you have to make sure you use things in moderation. Too many styles and too many elements in a composition can be completely overwhelming, and you don't want to lose your viewer or your audience in what you're trying to say. So the rule of thumb is that less is better. What you also want to keep in mind is balance. You want to have an equal distribution of visual weight in your designs. You can affect this by using colors, sizes, numbers, and negative space, symmetrical or asymmetrical. So we have symmetrical, which we have an example right here, and the exact same amount of elements that are on one side and the other side. And then we have asymmetrical balance, where we have the same amount of elements in each side, however, they're arranged differently, but they still have the exact same visual weight. The rule of thirds. The rule of thirds is a proposition that you can take an image and you can divide it into 9 equal parts with 2 equally spaced horizontal and vertical lines. The focal point of an image will exist near or on the line. So you're going to take any image that you have and you're going to split it into 9 equal squares or rectangles, 9 equal parts. And you're going to be able to have your focal images on lines or on the intersections. So these lines right here, according to studies, we actually analyzed pictures in that particular manner. We start from the left top and then we go down and up and down. So typography. So typography is the appearance and style of printed text. So typography, it can be a whole section of its own in here, but it will range around how do you use fonts and how do you implement those fonts into your design. So you can have a lack of image, but a gigantic presence of typography. It will range between fonts, size, and your spacing. You have to know what fonts fit best for your given scenario. It takes time. You're never always going to immediately know what font goes into something. So we have 5 classifications for typefaces. We have serif, which is, it has some strokes. It has the little tabs that you see on letters. There's sans serif, which there's no strokes. They're smoother, they stand out more, such as this font that we have going on here. It's called Poppins. It's a sans serif font. It doesn't have any of the tabs, such as Verdana, Montserrat. There's script and handwriting, so it's aesthetic handwriting, like Pacifico and Caveat. So these basically, they're trying to mimic a handwriting style, kind of like calligraphy. Or like the example we saw earlier. That's calligraphy. We have monospace. So there's a fixed spacing for these. They occupy the same horizontal space. So each letter will take the exact same amount of space. Like Courier and U Bravado. We also have display typefaces. These are decorative. They're usually best for large banners, or maybe like, when you drive outside and you see like these stores with their giant like signs outside. So those are display fonts. They're mostly for decorative reasons. So we're going to touch on a little bit of color theory. So you have to have a sense of a little bit of color dynamic when you have a design. So using the color theory, by using a color wheel, you can choose your preferred color scheme. It's important to know what colors complement each other and what colors are best for the context. You definitely don't want to have contrasting colors. We normally take a primary and a secondary color to create a tertiary. This is why we have red, orange. Same thing with some of these. You could have, we have a primary color, secondary, tertiary, and so on. They're mostly based on 3 colors, red, yellow, blue. So we have different components of color. We have a hue, which is a different shades of a color. We have saturation, which is the intensity of a color. And then we have value. So value is how light and dark it is. So when you create a color scheme, you want to create color harmony. So harmony is what we call the composition of things. If it's all harmonious, it means everything is seamlessly working together, or that it's entirely consistent throughout. So you're going to use the color wheel to test color combinations, right? So we're going to have complementary colors. Our colors are right next to each other. So we have kind of like an aqua blue, and then we have green, and then lighter green. Or you're going to have analogous colors. So these colors are completely opposite to each other in the color wheel. And then we're going to have triad. So it's the exact 30-degree angle of color combinations, such as, purple, orange, green. So these are some resources for some of the colors and palettes you may have. These are all free. Some of these websites, they allow you to customize and save your own gradients. They also provide free color palettes. They provide free gradients. It's also a random generator, so if you never really know what you want to start with, you can just hit generate and it will give you certain color palettes based on random. So this is what I don't mean about color harmony. So this is what you want to avoid. There are certain colors that definitely don't go together for certain reasons. Blue and red is just, no, we don't do that. Then we have green and purple, we have blue and red, and then pink on yellow, and then we have Discord light mode because that's cursed. So if we try to go back to the color wheel, you know, blue and red is neither complementary, it is neither analogous, and you cannot get that in a tried combination because you just can't do that. This would go for pink and yellow either. Pink and yellow is not complementary. It's not analogous. Analogous to pink would be green. You know, those are just certain examples. So we have a challenge for you guys. So the challenge is that we're going to give you guys a Google Drive file in the Zoom chat, and you get to drag it to an open area in Photopea Edit. So Photopea, I'm providing Photopea to you guys because Photopea is a free Adobe Photoshop alternative. However, you know, I would like to teach you guys Photoshop, so I'm going to open up Photoshop right now. I'm going to stop sharing for a moment. So I'm going to give you guys the basics of Photoshop while I'm okay. So we're going to open the file. So this is a magazine cover example. But before we get into that, I'm going to open a new file just to show you guys how this works. File new. We're just going to create a custom. So this is an example of your workspace in Photoshop. What you want to keep in mind is that this is a layer-based system. So Photoshop is mainly used for photo manipulation, illustration. You can also use it for graphic design, absolutely. And it works on like I said, a layer-based system. So you have different layers that you get to add down here, and this little plus sign down here, and you get to add different layers. So what's beneficial about this is that you're not gonna have, problems if you mess up with something because you can also redo it, you can copy it. So if your background is locked, you can choose this, drag it down to the trash can, and it's unlocked. So I'm going to delete it. So I'm going to show you guys how to mainly fix. So what do we notice that's wrong here for this design? So what's mainly wrong is that the colors are constantly clashing with each other. We know that through looking with the color wheel that pink and yellow are not complementary colors. They don't really go together. You don't want to have color like red in front of pink. It's really hard to see. Same goes with this font. Doesn't seem like it really goes. The background here, the white background, doesn't seem to have real purpose behind the image. So this is how I would approach this problem. The first thing I would do, going here through the layers, I'm going to get rid of this background color. And I'm going to sample a color from the image for the background. So how to sample, you go to your left and right tools, you hit the eyedropper tool. And I'm going to select the dark color there. It's going to select it for you. I'm going to use the paint bucket tool, and I'm going to paint it black. So the second thing I would do is I'm going to get rid of this white background here. So here the layer is on the right, and you're just going to hit the trash can. Just going to delete it right there. So the second thing I'm going to do is I'm going to select the image, and I'm going to bring it down here to the bottom. So you want to make sure that when you're enlarging pictures, you don't mess with the ratio of the image. You don't want to widen it, flatten it. So to do that, you hit the Alt key. You hit Alt key, and you're gonna hold it. And then you're gonna get your selector and you're gonna increase the image. Now I'm gonna increase it. I'm gonna increase it that much. So it seems like it's a little off. So yeah, I'm gonna keep it like that. I wanna make those seem more inviting towards people. I do see the fonts down there. I don't think I want that, so I'm gonna remove it. The collection and time, I think that stuff is still there. I'm also gonna remove it. So I noticed that some of there's a brown color down here, so I'm gonna remove that also. But because I'm gonna sample the black again, and I'm gonna use the paintbrush tool. I'm gonna make sure that my brush isn't anything different than the usual. I don't want any textures on my stuff. Because the image on the tool, we're gonna select the image. It's gonna give me this. Do you want to rasterize before proceeding? Yes, I would like to rasterize because you want to paint on the picture. And I'm going to with the bracket keys on your keyboard, you're able to enlarge or decrease your selection. So I'm gonna paint over it because I don't want that contrast to be there. I'm gonna go around selecting around, just make sure I get something. I'm not gonna go super into detail on it. This is just an example, however. Oh, I think I accidentally painted over the pear. Yeah. Yeah, I did. See, it all looks a little bit more seamless now. All right, so now that I'm done with that, I'm gonna mess with the fonts down here. So you're gonna hit the text tool down here. First, you select your layer. You go to the left, your text tool, and then now you can text. You're gonna bring it right to the text, and you're gonna select it. I want my text color to be something else than, you know, whites. Then open up the color picker. I'm gonna hit white on it. Okay. I don't want that stroke. So stroke is something that clutters the perimeter of anything. So I'm gonna go to the layer on the right. You're gonna right click, blending options. So it's gonna bring up this layer window and you're going to see stroke with a check mark on it. So you're gonna uncheck it because we don't want that. You're gonna hit OK. So now I have ambient here. So I'm not particularly fond of the color or the font. So I'm gonna go look for a different kind of font. I'm gonna play around with it. Maybe change the lowercase to the uppercase as you see fit. I probably will change the color. I believe it is in bold. So if it's in bold, you're gonna select it. You're gonna click up this tool up here that looks like a little folder. And you're gonna unselect the bold icon. So now you're done with that, you're gonna hit check mark. So now we have ambient sitting up here. So I think it's a little short. So I'm gonna increase it to, you're gonna select it again. You're gonna go up here. I'm gonna hit 150. Check. The move tool, that's the first tool you see. You can move anything that you select on it. I'm gonna keep it there. So I think I want it just a little larger. I'm thinking of a fancy dinner. You know, keeping in mind that this might be more of a fancy dinner out there. gonna center it. Yeah. So for this text, I'm also gonna go to the text tool and select all of it. I'm gonna gray it. The rationale behind it is that white is very similar to gray. However, I don't want to take attention away from the ambient. I'm also gonna select this. I'm also gonna turn it a little gray for consistency. Thinking of moving this out here. So you can't see it because it's under the image. It's right here. So you're gonna bring this layer and go above images. There you go, now you can see it. So Photoshop has this internal tool that's going to line up the things you put with the elements on your page. So I want to line it up right there. Oh, so you can also can't see the text, so we're gonna bring it up. Or I could just keep it up there. I believe I'm just gonna keep it up there. So yeah, that would be my take. So maybe if I wanted to go the extra step, I could select my tools. I'll go to blending options. But what if I wanted to add texture? What if I wanted to give it that older sense? So Photoshop comes with a set of presets that you can choose what textures you want. So maybe you want it to look a little grainy, maybe like trees. To give it a sense of interest, you can choose water. I was thinking of sticking to this one just because it looks interesting. So yeah, if you wanted to add anything else, you can also add. There are different tools. There's a rectangle tool. So let's say if I wanted the rectangle to be something like yellow. Let's make a new layer so we make sure we don't lose anything. Okay. So it's not gonna show it to me just yet. I don't understand why you can't see shapes. Delete layer. I'm gonna delete it. If you don't want to mess with anything that you already made, I don't know why I kept it. You're gonna hit the lock tool. So here's how you can lock it. You can lock the colors. You can lock movement, so you don't accidentally click it and move it. You get to lock position, or you get to lock all the things about it. So I'm gonna lock the position because I don't want it moving around. I also don't want the image moving around. Same with the text. I'm already done with it. And additionally with the text. So you can also do different things. So you can add different shapes, depending on the kind of shape you want. You can also drag the inner circles from the outer circles to make rounded corners or symbols. Kind of how they do app buttons nowadays. You get to do that. Use that text. So we have a pen tool. So if you don't want to see a layer, you also get to hit the eye icon. So you get to hide what you see there. Yeah. Sorry to show you guys a new file just to showcase the different kinds of tools you guys get to use. We have the pen tool. So the pen tool will pretty much draw a line. You click, then you click. That's how you make a line. So you're just gonna click, not hold, and then click again. That's how you make a line. So you can click, make another line. You can also make a lasso tool. So for example, if I were to paint, let's just say I'll paint somewhere here randomly. Say I paint this, you know? And then go to the lasso tool. So what the lasso tool lets you do is that you get to go around a certain area and you get to move it out of its position. Oh, well, I didn't move it perfectly, but there you go. So if you want to deselect this, let's say you messed up and you're like, oops, you're gonna do so I believe for Windows it's Control D. For Mac it's Command D. Let's see what else. Eyedropper tool takes a sample of the color you're taking, it takes it to your color wheel. You have the pencil tools. So we have an eraser and a background eraser tool. So with the background eraser tool, it's a pretty interesting tool. So let's say if I had something behind my thing, and let's say it was a different color. Let's say it was brown. So we're gonna go back to the first layer, and if you hit the background tool, it's gonna the background. You're gonna select your background. If you select the background eraser tool, it's going to delete. So what you see, the little crosshair, your selection, it's going to take that color and erase it. So the magic eraser tool will erase everything of that color. So if I select it, it'll take the whole thing away. And the eraser tool, it's your basic eraser tool. So let's say if I have something here and I'm just erasing. Dots tool lightens up an area. So if I were to select this area various times, it's going to light it up. As you can see, we're going to use the burn tool. Burn tool will make an area darker. So as you can see, I'm turning the side of the pink of this yellow blob dark. So smudge tool is a little different. It will kind of absorb and rub off the colors that you have on there. Smudge tool is a little self-explanatory. It's going to take that and then just smudge it. So yeah. Well, I guess I was smudging too much. So on hand tool, you have the rotate. You get to rotate your workspace. Another also acts as the hand tool if you're not using it, is that you can hit your spacebar. Spacebar, you hold your spacebar and then you can drag whatever your workspace. But since it's already in full screen, it's not moving for me. We have the zoom tools, plus, minus up here. You get to zoom in, zoom out. We're gonna hit fit screen. We also have the crop tools. You get to crop how much you want. You get to move the area into the crop area, or you can move the crop area with dragging the indicators around. So the gradient tool, it's a little self-explanatory. You get to select an area, click, and drag. You're going to click and drag. So you can start from here, drag all the way over there, and it's going to paint your gradient over. So when you open up the gradient bar up here, it's going to open up your gradient editor. So Photoshop already comes with a few pre-installed. Has basics, the blues. Let's say I wanted that. Hit OK. And it'll do a blue gradient on top. You can also custom make your own. So if you hit this, you're going to choose around the area and it's going to add a color. So let's say you don't want brown. Let's say you want something else. So you're going to select the brown. And then you're going to go around selecting what color it is that you may want. So let's say I wanted, let's kind of add that to the gradient. You also get to select the sliders and slide them around to indicate how much you want of one color versus another. So if you don't want that color, you can hit delete. It'll get rid of it for you. Let's say I wanted this. I'll click and drag. And that's how my gradient is going to come up. So quick selection tool. You get to select or select less. You select a given area. So similar to the Lasso tool, but it will, Photoshop itself will try to calculate which colors you're choosing instead of you physically having to move it around. You also get to take it out of preferred context if you wanted to, or you can also paint over it. Let's say I wanted to paint it. When you select something and you want to paint, it will paint only that area that you selected, so it won't go out of bounds. I'm gonna hit Command D to deselect. So yeah, those are very basic Photoshop skills. So I wanted to say thank you for coming to this workshop. I hope you learned something of Photoshop. If you want to learn more, please join our Discord. Make sure you react to the design emoji so you get access to design channels. If you have any questions, concerns, you can also reach out to me there. I would like to see what you guys come up with this magazine cover. I hope you post it on program discussion so we can give you critique or to give you more pointers, or maybe you just want to share what you did. I appreciate you guys coming. I will be using more tools later on. Our next workshop is on UI UX part 1, so we're going to be working with Adobe XD. Program applications are coming to a close, on the 25th. They're going to close out, so please do sign up if you have that intention. Thank you and have a good night.